This session is about a simple GET request, the intro to karate keywords, and the runner with tags. Karate is basically a keyword driven API automation framework. All you need to do is to get understand the keywords and use them at the right place in a feature file. And runner, yes, to trigger any test suite, we need a test runner file is a triggering point for the automation. You can configure, you can run a runner file in multiple ways. One of them is basically running with tags. Running with tags will help you when you practice. You don't want to execute the entire suite. You want to test only one scenario. You want to practice only one scenario and see how it is working. So in that line, running with tags is very helpful and comes in handy. So starting with running the API automation using tags. Go to Eclipse, go to the Maven project that you have created using the Karate archetype. The project structure looks like this. It have an examples package and the example feature file and an example runner file. Let us reorganize this a bit for our convenience and also that will make sense. So this is for one example that they have proposed us with this kind of a structure. But for the entire API automation, we'll reorganize this folder structure. So let me create one package with name API test. So this package will contain my runner file and few other Java functions that you want to write and any other core functionality that you want to enhance in the API automation. So I'll place these two for files there. So my API test contains, okay, configuration file should not go here. Configuration file should be in source test Java. Talking about the other files. Cool. And I'll refactor this to API test features. So all my feature files will go in this package. So for now, these two folders are sufficient to proceed with. Later on, as we discuss new things, we'll try to create new folders and new structure. And all your feature files will go here. So this is the runner file. So as we discussed, we are trying to use the runner file to run the test cases using tags. So let us comment this. So creating another method, the return type of the method should be karate. I'm just trying to give the method name as test with tags. So this will return in the karate class. There is something called run. So this will run your test cases. Don't specify anything. We are not specifying anything because the feature file location is exactly under source test Java. So when files are under source test Java, this is the root for your karate API automation. So when you don't specify any location path, karate understands that the particular files are present under the root. The root for a API automation using karate is source test Java. So this will be the root for your feature files. So you don't have to specify any path to it. Then there is something called tags. So here you need to specify what tags you want to execute. For now I'll just include tst, a test tag, and then At the end, you just need to specify this relative to class instance so that all the instances are executed in the karate. So that's all. So we have created a method in the runner file with name test with tags. You are trying to run using the tags tst, and similar to JUnit you specify at the rate test tag for each test method, right? In testng also you specify. So in karate you need to specify at the rate karate class instance dot test. So that's all. We are done with the runner file, and also refactor the runner file name a bit. Here it is specifying a specific runner file related to one feature, but let us make it generic. Refactor name rename. Instead of users, I'll just mark it to karate runner. We are good here. Let's go to future. So till now, what we have done is we opened the Maven project that we have created using karate archetype in the last session and reorganized the folder structure a bit. I have created two packages, one with name API test, where I have placed my runner file, and in future if I want to create any customized Java functions or JavaScript functions, those files I'll place it in this particular folder. And then the second folder API test features, where I'm gonna create all my feature files and place it here. Now creating a feature file. So these are all the APIs which are discussed in the last session, and we are trying to automate this entire module. So RESTful API dev. So I'm gonna give a name which makes sense and which is relatable to this particular project or particular module more precisely. RESTful API dev dot feature. Finish. So I have created a new feature file. So whenever you create a new feature file based on the plugin that you have on your IDE, you will see certain sample expressions which would help you to understand and write if you are new to Gherkin. So I'll remove this comment for now. I'll remove this tag as well. So in a feature file, the first line is the name of the feature. It is already proposed here, so you don't have to write it again, but change the title to your module title. RESTful API. RESTful API dev API scenarios. So the first line I'm trying to write one scenario. Before actually drafting the Gherkin scenarios, the first step in API automation or any automation, as we discussed in last session, is to understand the test scenario first. So let us see what the API is. We are trying to automate this get API, get all objects. So this is the endpoint URL that this particular get API uses, and the HTTP method we are trying to use is get, and nothing else, no other data that we are going to provide here. So this is a simple get API call. When you try to trigger the send, we are sending the request and we'll get a response. So in the response also, let us not do more validations. Let us add a simple validation check of status. So here itself, so So let us add the manual scenarios. Okay. So when and the input conditions, let us divide it into input conditions. Input, we need an endpoint and we need a path and we need the HTTP method input. Then when user triggers the API, then verify status code as 200. So this is our test scenario. These are the input conditions, and this is used to trigger the API. User triggers the API, and then status code should be 200. So let us transform this into Gherkin format, and more precisely into Karate Gherkin format. So Karate uses the keywords to specify each action. Let us see what that each action is. Verify get all objects API, right? So we are trying to verify this get all objects API. Get all objects API. So this is in a Gherkin format, so we should be using given, when, and then given URL. Given is a Gherkin keyword and URL is a Karate keyword. Whenever you use the URL keyword in a particular scenario, Karate understands that you are trying to specify the base URI, that is the domain name or the host server address. So Karate understands, okay, this line the user is trying to provide me an endpoint or the base URI. So space. So indentation is prime here, so make a note of the indentation and try to follow that indentation. So after the URL you should specify a space and provide the URL in single quotes in the same line. This should not go in the next line. If you try to give the URL in the next line, it will throw you an error. So what is the URL? So this is the endpoint URL, but until here is my base URL. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it here. So in this, URL is a Karate keyword and given is your Gherkin keyword. So given URL so and so value. We are done with first line. And there are few other input conditions. So still we need to provide the given conditions. So if there are more than one given condition, we go with AND conjunction. And we have objects path. So this is called the resource path. So to specify a resource path, the keyword that the Karate uses is path. Path space, again single quotes, and specify the resource path of the API. So these are the two input conditions. Next. So we have taken a simple get example. So for this API, there are just two input conditions. One is URL and other one is the path. So until now, we are ready with the input conditions that are required to trigger the request. So this process of getting all the input conditions together in building the request is called serialization of an API. So serialization of an API means gathering all the ingredients, gathering all the components that are required to trigger the request. So before triggering the request, the process of getting all the details is called serialization of an API. After given statements, we will get when statement. When is the user action. So user action here in this API is clicking on this particular send button. What send button does is sending a get request. So it is trying to send the get request. So the HTTP method that the request is using is get. So the karate keyword to specify the HTTP method is method. So method is the keyword to specify the HTTP method of the request for automating the API. So method here is get. That's it. So here the karate understands that the URL is this one because we have specified the keyword URL, and the resource path is this one because we have specified the path keyword, and the HTTP method is get because we have specified the method keyword. So these specifications are important, the keyword specifications, to make karate understand what we are trying to do in this particular scenario. So when is fine. So after you trigger this request, there is one assertion, one validation, one verification that we want to check is the status code. So then the keyword that is used is status 200. So when you use the keyword status, the karate will automatically understand that this is an assertion check and the user wants to check the status code of the response, which is 200. So that's all, we have automated one test case. So nothing to code, nothing to design, nothing to add Java code or JavaScript code. A simple Gherkin language using karate keywords will do the job. So that is what done here. Now to trigger this, we have created a runner file using tags. So let us add the same tag here. So see here we have created a runner file, right? Karate runner.java. We have specified the tag tst. So we will use the same tag and try to run it. So how to run it? Go to the Java file or the runner file and click on run as JUnit test. So open the runner file. The runner file configuration looks good. Oh yeah. So this particular feature file folder should be under the API test. If not, then you need to specify the folder path in the runner. So let me refactor this a bit. So this has to be API test dot. So the runner file is in the same location as the feature files. So then you don't have to specify the path. So let me repeat this. So we have created the test feature files folder or the package in the same location where my runner file is present. So in that case, you don't have to specify the location. If not, you need to specify the folder path of that particular feature files. So to not to complicate, I have just edited the feature file folder name to API test dot API test features. So this will be under the same location where the runner file is present. So now this will run. Go to my runner file. So runner file run as JUnit test. So it is executed now. Yeah, so the execution is completed now. So the greater than symbol related logs are for the request and the less than symbol logs are for the response. So let us see the report. Go to target. So nothing is coming in the target. Let me refresh the project. Open this. So this is the request that we just automated and we got the results and the reports as well. To see what is happening in the request, you need to click on the method, and if you see here, this is the get URL that we are trying to hit. It is the combination of your base URI and the path. This is the endpoint URL, and this is the response that we got, and this is the response payload. Similarly, in the postman, when you try to hit this API, you got this response payload, right? So in the similar lines, you got the payload in the report. So the then status code is 200. That came in green line. It implies that the assertion is successful. So this is a simple GET request. So let us make it a little complex to improve the test scenario. So one way to do is, this is hard coded. The URL is hard coded. So how to parameterize this value? And get also have path parameter and query parameters. So how to automate an API, the get API, using path parameter and query parameter. That we will see in the next session. Let me check if I have covered all the topics for this session. I think we are good.